Well, I'm just going to call the meeting to order. So where should we start?
Well,
In the purple folder?
yeah, we have two main goals coming out of here. First off, I'm just going to kind of explain to you the process, what we're looking at right now through MSBA. And then they want two things from us tonight, and that is they want a plan for who we're going to have on this committee, how we're going to select them, who those members are going to be, and they'd also like to have some type of survey selected so that we can start surveying various groups. So those are our two goals for coming out of here tonight. So I guess just to start, I spent a considerable amount of time looking for ways to get this process done, the strategic planning process done. I contacted a few different independent consultants. I did hear that MSBA was offering this service now this year. I know that two of our neighboring school districts are going through this process this year as well, and I have talked to them about how they are doing it. They have chosen to go with some independent consultants. The ones that I talked to, I mean, they're ranging in the $15,000 to $20,000 range to get this accomplished. MSBA, and it's a much lighter version. I mean, they aren't going to, they're going to hold our hands through this process. They aren't going to do it for us, though. The price tag on it's about $3,200, which I felt was more than fair for what they are going to give us. So I opted to go this direction. I think it's going to be, they'll provide us with enough of a framework and guidance that we can do this efficiently and get a good result in the end. So one of the things that I gave you in your folder, it should be on top, is the calendar of events. We kind of went through this a little bit at a study session, or at a regular board meeting. I went through it, and this is just solidifying those dates so that you can kind of see where we're at.
Have you sent this package to Mr. Chad? As long as he'll be seated on the board from the first of the year. If we haven't, I think we should.
Yeah, I'll do that. I haven't.
Yeah, we should send it to him.
He was given this at the last board meeting, but
I gave him a copy. Yeah.
you did.
Okay.
So. All right, so I want to just turn your attention to the sheet. There's a spreadsheet kind of thing that says Strategic Planning Committee members. And I guess one of the first discussion that I want to have with you is individual feelings on who should, and there's a bunch of names on this thing, but we can easily, it's just a guide. We can scratch them out, put different ones in there. Just looking for some feedback as to who you feel would be our stakeholders, who we need to involve in this process. And MSBA is recommending anywhere from 15 to 20 members on this committee to be effective.
Well, last time around, each board member was asked to submit names of the people from the public that we could select from. Certainly not everyone would say yes, and that would keep the list fairly short.
So you're talking that for community members you're
For
talking
community members, that was that way each of the board members had an opportunity to find people that they felt might be engaged in it and able to
Two or three
attend.
names, I think it was.
Yeah, we each submitted 3 names.
I believe it was 3 names we submitted.
But there were enough people that said no that it kept the public list fairly short.
Right. But at least they were offered.
Right, right. But that's the easiest way to get community members because they're coming from within the board. But other than that, all the board members were invited to attend if they wished. Certainly the superintendent. The principals were all welcome at the meeting, that we didn't limit which principals. I don't remember how we handled the teachers. There were some who chose to come, but I don't remember if they were representing their union or
I think they were.
why their participation was there. It could have just been that because they were
I think
community
we
active.
did both. I think if I remember right, maybe I'm wrong, the president of the union was here, or a member of their executive board. And if a teacher wanted to come in, or they could come in as, hey, someone who's in the district. Or if they live in the district, that's fine. But I don't think we're limited to anybody.
I don't remember limiting either.
No.
But it was unusual to have more than 15 or so people in the room at any given time.
And I don't remember if we had any students.
No, we
No,
didn't.
there was no students involved.
No. Mostly because of the number of meetings that we held the last round. It was extensive, and they were long. So it was just, and then it went through the summer also, so it was just unreasonable to have kids give that kind of commitment.
I think one of the good things about having MSBA guide us through this will be that, I mean, we have this outline in front of us, and they're really going to limit the amount of time.
Yep.
Lots of the groundwork, lots of the grassroots work will be done by them outside of meetings. The meetings will be basically just presenting what they've found through surveys and whatnot, and getting feedback from the committee and gathering that. And as you can see, there will only be 3 main committee meetings, and then there'll be a 4th one basically as a wrap-up to approve the plan.
Much more palatable than the last system, which took forever.
I think the last system that person we hired, I can't remember her name. She had done this many times before. But I think she may have retired from doing this. I'm not sure. It was around $4,000 to $5,000. But there was a lot of
I
meetings.
thought it was more than that, but it was, it went on forever, months of it. Many
But
It was
even
husband-wife, wasn't it? Huh? It was husband-wife team.
No.
No.
But even like the survey that's going to go out, I mean, they will, part of MSBA's role they will analyze, they'll gather that data, they'll analyze it and present it to us in a form that people can understand. So we don't spend endless hours sitting in a room looking at each other, thinking, what are we going to do with this information now?
And then coming from the position of the MSBA, they're going to have a better understanding of where we need to go as a district than an individual, because the last gal did such a nice job, but her background wasn't in education.
Yeah.
It
No.
wasn't in schools. She did it for all kinds of other firms.
I
But
think-
this will be a much more efficient system.
I think she actually had worked for the county, St. Louis County, doing something else.
Okay, so just back to the planning committee members. So if I'm hearing this right, we want to invite all the board members, 7 of them. I would personally like to have our principals involved. I invited one of them tonight. I was going to have them during these early phases. I'd have them all involved.
I think they should all be here because
think
the
they
whole
need to be
idea of this
involved.
is it may affect
It will affect them.
staffing levels and building usage.
everything.
And so
So I'm looking at that. If the board members, if each of you could find a community member to nominate, and if all 7 of you have quality people that are willing to do it, that would be fine. I mean, that would put us at 17 or 14 just there, and then another 17 with the principals. I would like to see someone from the Teachers Executive Council, for sure. And I guess I would like to see a teacher from each of our campuses too, as a representative to
Yeah.
each of those.
So you want us to look at for 2 residents each?
Well, I would find, you could do 2, but I would just keep in mind that probably only one of your people, find one that's willing to do it.
we just want to keep this smaller than it was the last time.
Yeah, and the nice thing is you'll be able to hand them this, and this is your commitment. I mean, this is how many times we're going to meet.
And the-
This is the scope of
Yes.
it right
That's
there?
the scope of
That's
it.
it.
And board members submit 3 names then?
No, we're
Just
just
one.
I would do one.
Just one
try and get a
name?
commitment from
Okay.
one person.
We've done 3 in the past, but
Okay.
we never did get everybody.
No, just,
Actually, there was actually too many people last time.
I would also like to find at least a high school student to be a part of it as well.
I think that's important to have their perspective.
Yeah. So if we get that, unless you guys can think of anyone else that we're missing.
For
that would-
students, you
that
think we
would-
should just start with the 2 folks that we've already got sitting as student reps on the board?
if they can.
Ask them if they're interested.
Start with them, see if they're interested in participating, especially Logan when she's so new.
I say if they both would do it, it'd be good for her.
Right, but
Brandon's been here long
He's
enough.
been
He
here,
knows
right.
what the,
I'm just thinking Brandon's so busy if he's unable to, if
Yeah.
Logan could, that. Start with them maybe.
Yeah, if all of those people come, that would put us in the 20 to 22 range, which
And
would
that's
be fine.
perfect. You don't want any more than that.
Okay. So, I guess your task prior to, let me give you a date here. I'm going to say by the December board meeting, and that's on the 8th, I believe. I need a name from all of you.
Okay.
And just to make that clear, that 8th meeting is at 6. We're not having a regular meeting at 5.
Correct.
That will be our regular meeting,
Right.
but
It's the
yeah,
regular
It's just
meeting.
at 6.
6 o'clock, yeah. And that's just to meet that truth and taxation requirement.
and what time is that? I didn't get
December 8th at 6
I
o'clock.
got that, but it means
6 o'clock.
the truth and taxation is also that night?
Yep,
That's
that's why we're
before?
holding it at 6. No,
Okay.
that's why we're doing it at 6.
All right, so if you head back to your folder, I just included 3 things. This was given to me. Sandy Gunlock is our MSBA person that's going to be working with us.
Okay.
She sent me these. These are just press releases. There's 3 different, not even necessarily press releases, but just notices, generic notices that we can put upon just to put out to staff or community. Because we're going to be looking to survey community people. One of them is, and once we pick a survey, we'll put that survey on the website. We'll put some type of notice out into the papers. Might even put out an instant alert so parents understand. Parents are the ones that get that. And various other communications, just telling them that they can fill it out online, or we'll have paper copies here, and we can enter that data into the thing. So there's that.
And we have to remember to post all these dates because these will be open meetings and
Right.
anyone can attend, even if they're not a part of the committee itself.
Right.
Yeah.
So then there's another one looking for staff input. This is just going to be an email out to the staff. So
Okay.
Who's going to collect all this data? Is this going to
MSBA is going to collect the
So
data.
they are going to.
Yeah. So I have those 2. So now we're looking at diving into surveys here. The first one that I'm looking at, it's MSBA strategic planning process, and this is perception survey of Evelyn Gilbert schools. This is a survey that MSBA is recommending.
Which one is that, Jeff? So I know we've got, these are all,
It's a 2-sided one. It's got
oh, this one.
rating on the back of it.
Okay.
So this is one that can be done. It's a perception survey, and depending on, you start out by stating who you are. These are mostly staff members, so different types of staff members depending on who you are. And the questions go through. They're basically asking how things are from that person's perspective, how things are going. I feel like it's a good gauge. It's fairly concise. It's 20 questions. Definitely something I would recommend that we send out to staff. We can do both paper and they'll collect. This will go out on a Survey Monkey. However, we can do paper copies of it so that if staff don't have access to a computer, they can do this. But
Are these the questions that they would ask then, or is this
Yes.
just? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sometimes all we get is samples, so just
No,
check.
this is the actual survey that they'll use.
Okay.
So I would recommend that we do that one for sure. You can definitely flip through that. And the other one that they highly recommend, and this is the one that goes out to the community, and it's very short, but it's this one that says perception survey of the school district strengths and needs. And it's only a 3-question one, but it's open-ended. Well, basically it's 2 questions, but it just asks for the top 3 strengths and the top 3 concerns. And Sandy told me that they get great information off this one because it allows people to go outside of traditional questions and actually write things in of what they see as a problem or strength for that matter. And they will compile all that and give
I
it
like
to us in
that.
the report.
Would this be available electronically?
We can do electronic or
Everything that we
or
get should be
paper.
put on the website,
Yep.
so people can look at everything.
That being said, I mean, if we do that stuff with electronically, especially to the public, how do we quantify or qualify them that they're in our district? Do we care for people
Well-
when they clicked in there, or do we just say, what's your zip code, and, you know?
There's
We can
definitely
send them
that.
out, we would like to get them back from the people with their name on it, or at least their address,
But electronically,
Zip
I'm
code.
saying, if we have a link on our website to a Survey Monkey, I mean, how do we?
Yeah, when I met with Sandy, one of the questions that we asked her is how do we prevent ballot stuffing, if you will? Because there are some people that'll just fill out a bunch of them,
Just keep
or
filling
people
them
that
out,
aren't.
filling out, right.
And she said that does happen. There's no question about that. But they have means of analyzing these results that they can kind of tell what's good and what's
There's
bad.
IP tracking, and they can.
Yeah.
and it says right on here, on that same form, please return to the district office by this date and your address in the city.
Yeah.
But if we do it electronically, are we going to have an option for them to fill in their city or something? So
You kind of
You just-
you have to you collect the data and you take it for what it is. I mean,
just evaluate it for what it is.
evaluate it
point.
for what it is.
Oh, yeah.
She said that definitely does happen, but you get some really great information too. I mean, you can tell when somebody is just bitter and is filling out stuff.
Yep.
You ever do a
For the sake
company,
of
internal company evaluation? You always
Yeah.
throw out the low and the high, and
Yeah.
you work with the middle stuff,
Well, they
right?
always do that, right.
Right.
They always do that.
So
At
there's
least we
that
have
one.
before.
A couple others that she sent my way that aren't real great. They need some tweaking because they're very generic, but they would need tweaking for us. There's one I have a high school sports student feedback. It's just this one would go out to kids. Just some general questions about how they feel about our athletic programs and facilities. I don't know if the board wants to survey students or not.
I don't have a problem with surveying students, but I hate to focus on sports only.
I wish,
We're not.
I wish
This
it
is
was
just.
more
This is just one thing.
You know,
It's just one thing.
I'd like to think that that's the least of our
There will be.
focus.
Academic.
She's going to send me another one that
another one
is
here.
dealing with academics.
I mean, that would be nice, and it could be convenient if we can have them do that electronically through their little iPads too.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be convenient and quick,
can.
hopefully.
Yeah, I agree with you. Why is it always about athletics?
Yeah, well,
No,
I can see
there
the
will be.
value
There will
of
be
it.
others on academics
I know
too. This
there will
is
be,
just-
but this one here,
it's just athletics.
Minnesota State High School League had their fingers in this one.
Yeah. And then there's another one that's, it's a school climate survey, but it's meant for parents. This would be just sent to parents. And then the last one that she gave me.
This is in addition to these other surveys, or?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the last one that she gave me was just a teacher feedback. And of course, we already have the MSBA model that she just sent this one just to look at in case. It's just a different model.
I'd like to keep this as simple as is humanly possible because people are busy enough. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to be filling out multiple page surveys and
I hear you.
questions that aren't.
And then the other thing that you have to remember is I have already sent out several surveys to staff regarding our facilities. And that's through the UNESCO project that's going on right now. So we're collecting that data as we speak. So we'll have that data available to us as well.
Can you forward those to us?
I did, the survey links.
Okay.
Yeah. I can do it again, but I did send them out.
I don't know. Have I seen those?
Not ringing a bell, but I'll go back
Did
and
you
look.
send that out since the last?
I had a
meeting?
weekly update about 2 weeks ago, and those links were in it. And I did CC the board on that one, but I can send it back
Oh,
out.
I think I might have seen that, but I probably skimmed over it.
See you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Bye.
Yeah, I'd like to get those at home so I can download them
Yeah.
and put them on my desktop.
Okay, I'll send them back out tomorrow. So let's just talk about the surveys a little bit. I mean, we have the first two that MSBA is recommending, and I like the simplicity of the perception surveys in both instances. One of them's for staff and one of them's for community. I don't know if you guys are feeling like you need some more in-depth stuff, or...
What are the acronyms? SDD?
I was looking on
They're on
the
the other side.
Strongly disagree.
Oh, I see, okay.
Disagree.
Duh.
I didn't catch that either.
I was looking what DK meant. It
Oh, I
said,
looked
don't know.
It's IDK, don't you have,
Right.
don't you ever send messages? Yeah. You have kids in your house, you
I know what it meant.
don't speak.
If it would have said
Full
IDK,
English.
I wouldn't have had to look at the.
That's
cheat
right,
sheet.
yeah, that's right. All right.
Yeah, I was looking at that, trying to figure out what it was.
I like to pick A. I've never got too many of those on my report cards. So you can shop.
I guess the only thing that I like these two, I like the simplicity of this one for the community.
Yes.
Yes.
And this one isn't too, I think staff would be receptive to not confusing, it's not a big time eater.
If we make it too complicated, people are not going to fill it out.
Right.
No, they don't want to
Let's make
be
it-
quizzed.
The only,
KISS.
the only
Keep it
thing,
simple,
the
stupid.
only other thing that I would like to do, and I don't care for this one, I don't, the one that just has sports, I would like to survey our students. though.
I
think
agree,
they're-
but I'd like it to be,
More than just sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll find something different for
Well,
that.
I mean,
Okay.
for the student one, maybe you could incorporate some climate and academics too.
Yeah.
So
they may have a hybrid that would have. Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Little
you
more
can
to
pick
it.
and choose, can't you? You
Yes.
can
Oh, yeah.
pull, like, you like this one, maybe pull some off
Yeah.
and incorporate.
I agree.
I think it's important to get the kids' feedback.
But I wouldn't make it more than 20.
No,
I think
I-
even 20
Oh my gosh,
is
even
too many.
that's too many.
This one here only has 12.
Yeah, keep it as short as
You'd be
humanly
surprised
possible.
though, them little monkey things on the, I mean, it's just, you can click pretty quick through them and burn
It's
through.
it's finding the time to do
Right.
it. So
But as
that's the
far as
biggest
students
issue.
go, I mean,
But I mean,
And
as
then
far
let
as,
them
Yeah.
do it in school. Don't make them go home and do it at home.
can we at least agree on these two though?
Absolutely.
yes,
'Cause
definitely.
she wants to get these on the street.
Well, I
Pretty
think
quick.
this one, that'll go to the general public when there's only 3 questions, and they have the freedom to write in what's specifically concerning to them, invests them in the process so much more. If you're only answering questions, that means we've already set the parameters for what we want. This opens the door to allow them to address whatever their concerns are. We're not limiting it.
Right.
The strengths and concerns, right? They can have 50 of them.
And
if
I
they
think
want
one of the big things that we need to
it. Top three.
really try to get are the people that have no, shall we say, vested interest in the school. They don't have any kids.
Yep.
Because those are the ones that, it's always good to have their opinion as
We
to
have to
how
have
things are
paper
going.
copies then, and,
We were almost thinking about even sending these out with a newsletter or something to our residents.
well,
And
but not everybody
not everyone will send them back, but we
should be available at the library, it should be available at our senior living facilities. Oftentimes, those are the folks that have the,
Post office.
yeah, they have the time, but the thoughtfulness to give us the information. That last time around, some of the most important feedback that we got came from folks who don't even have grandkids in the system anymore, but
Yeah.
Right, but they're still concerned.
absolutely, they keep up on the issues and they have the time to research it, and they can give us some of the best information we're going to see.
Okay, well, I will we'll definitely go with these two. I'll find a student survey and try to pass that out to you, see what we feel about that. But we'll start with these two.
Okay, that sounds good.
Right.
And
As far as the teacher one goes, is that UNESCO one pretty much
No,
enough, or
it's a lot
more
different.
facilities?
It's basically dealing with the physical room that they're in.
Oh,
How
it's
they
just
feel about it.
environmental more.
Yeah. Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Is it big enough? That kind of.
Does your Wi-Fi work?
Yeah, all that stuff. Okay, so the last big chunk of paper I gave you is something that Sandy gave me that she suggested that we look at. And these are, it's program assessment forms, and it's all the same form. It just has something, a different program at the top, like how's your science program going, how's the business office. It's just an assessment for each of those that somebody in that department would fill out. It's just another form of information. I don't know how you guys, what do you think?
I mean, it's only one person per that group that's taking the time to fill it out, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so it can't hurt, right? Like the math one, that's not going to be every math level teacher, is it? It's gonna be-
Right, no, we would just pick somebody to
Right.
do that. And actually, in most cases, the principal would, because lots of the questions like the budget, the funding sources, stuff like that, that's not something that a teacher is even going to know, FTEs.
Well, Brian, would you like to fill out 6 of these?
Be awesome. It would be my pleasure.
Right answer.
Yeah.
So I think we could glean some good information out there as we look at our programs and what we're offering and what we should be offering. We are currently going through that stuff anyway in a curriculum review because we're trying to decide for next year what we should be offering, what we shouldn't be offering, what's been working, whatnot. And those are all things that I think this study needs to look at. I mean, maybe the same things that we've been teaching, maybe that's not what we should be doing anymore. We need to look out what are others doing, what are others not doing that they should. I mean, maybe there's stuff that we should be doing that we're not doing. I know that we still have to work within the parameters of the state standards that are set for us, but there are lots of electives that we can look at too. So.
I mean, just
And this would kind of go hand in hand with some type of student survey too, because that information is valuable to us, what the students are feeling about
Yep.
what is
Definitely.
being offered to them.
I mean, I'll just say for the record, I mean, I'm kind of ignorant to this whole process, and I guess I'll learn a lot as I go, but I would say whatever you and the MSBA recommend, what kind of data collect, we should just get as much as we can to do it right, if we're going to spend the time to do it. I mean, I guess there's that balancing act of maybe spinning your wheels too, but...
Well, I think
it could be valuable.
the goal coming out of this project, and just so you're aware, I mean, we want to become a much more efficient organization, one. We want to make sure that we have facilities that are conducive to what we want to do for our children. And like I said, we really need to be looking at progressive education. I mean, the buzzword out there right now is 21st century education, but there really isn't
That doesn't mean anything.
there isn't really a picture to what that means.
Right.
So
It's in the eyes.
So we need to define what does that mean to us, and what are we going to do for our kids?
And I think we have to be careful not to limit how we think. You know, that proverbial box that people tend to think within. This is an opportunity to think outside of that and perhaps institute some new ideas or quit looking at things with the same eye that we always do, which is, well, this has worked for the last 30 years, therefore it must be kept. This is an opportunity to get rid of something if it's inefficient or not working, and a chance to bring something on board. We've talked repeatedly, and I think this board is committed, for example, to looking at vocational options that haven't been in place before, and this is a chance to address some of that. We've got building efficiencies that we have to consider. We've already got one facility study. We will have another, and you never know, there may be others as we go forward in time. If I could sing, I would do it to the music.
Sorry.
But I think it's
Forgot.
important that we remember that this isn't limited only to choosing what subjects we're going to continue to teach or how we're going to look at staffing levels. It's got to be everything to be all-inclusive, or you're not efficient. And that's got to be the utilization of the buildings in conjunction with the classes that are being offered and staffing levels.
We have to look at everything.
That's the intent, I would
That's
hope.
the intent of doing this. Otherwise, why spend the money doing this?
Because the final result has to be that we're providing as much as we financially can for these kids.
Right.
And if we have to rob from Peter to pay Paul proverbially,
Right.
that's what we do.
Get out your mask.
Okay.
Okay, get
Well,
mine.
I mean, the world is different than it was 20, 30, 50 years ago
Right.
Yep.
today. So you gotta, just because we did it 50 years ago, don't mean it's applicable.
Well, even 20
today.
years ago, they kept cutting vocational classes because there wasn't any money for it.
But
Well,
you
and
see
if-
now
and if
that's
now
a huge.
there's nothing left, and all of a sudden, the pendulum's swinging way back the other way. We need people who can work.
That's just being a machinist.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to trade school no more.
How many high schools have got machine class courses anymore?
But on
I
a
heard
national
Wasabi East
level,
started,
they're
but-
swung
Wasabi East
back.
has always had one.
Well, they went away, but they just kind of
Well,
re-implemented it.
it's a
when
good thing
they
they
got
did. I'm glad
there. Let's
they
say
did.
we want one. I'll be the guy to.
But
help
there
you
are
get
actually,
going.
there's
teaching
actually grant
license.
money and
No,
some
I-
of those things out there now for vocational
Teachers
programs
open.
at the high school level. So
Yeah.
this is our opportunity to address some of those options.
I'll get you guys equipment if you want, though, but I can't teach.
All right, so just
You'd
to
be surprised, Mike.
kind of summarize here, we have our regular board meeting at 6 o'clock on December 8th, and by then I would like to have names from board members as to who we would like as community members on our,
A committed name, right? You're not going to cold call these people. And
No, somebody you've already talked to that's
they
committed.
need to know what they're getting into. And like I said, it's going to be 4 dates that they're going to be committing to, that group. Next, probably on Monday or Tuesday, these two surveys will hit the street. One of them will go to teachers, the other one will go to community members. The MSBA is recommending that they have about a little over 2 weeks to gather that information. So on December 16th, the surveys will close, and they will take probably the next 15 days to summarize that data for us. They say by January 5th they will have that information to us, and we'll be willing to present that in the form of, well, they'll give it to me, and then at that first board meeting in January, and well, that's the reorganization meeting. Probably that week of the 5th, I'll probably have another committee meeting, but the essence of it was I'm going to summarize where we're at as a district, and that would be, I'm going to go through our budget, the various, we have a world's best workforce plan, I'll be going through that, and that includes a lot of our testing data and all the information that we're collecting from this survey, kind of to just give a baseline of where we're at and start us down the process of where we need to go. Our first planning meeting as a committee will happen on January 20th then. That's a Tuesday, and MSBA will lead us through that night. And the second one is on February 3rd, and the third one is on February 17th. And Sandy and her partner, I believe it's Jeff Olson from MSBA, will be guiding us through. They will be conducting those meetings for us. There will be a fourth meeting that the date isn't static at this moment, but it'll be a review meeting when everything is all put together. They're thinking that one will probably be late March into April, at which time that process will pretty much be done. We'll meet as a board then afterwards to review that plan and approve it, and then it needs to get set into motion. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
So those 3 meetings that you just gave, the 20th of January, 3rd of February, and 10th of February?
17th.
Or 17th of February? Those are the actual
Those are the dates that we're going to have the
committed
committee meetings.
member meetings, okay.
It'll be at 5 o'clock.
So those are the meetings to highlight to the community members that we seek, right?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Any other questions, comments, suggestions for different directions we should go? I mean,
I think that's a
based on
good
my
schedule to get it done.
experience, I mean, I think having this timeline in place is going to be huge for us because it'll keep us on track.
Absolutely.
Yes.
there's a start date and an end date, which doesn't always happen with these processes. So.
How about a facility study from UNESCO? What's the time frame for that? When is that expected to be complete?
I don't have a static date on that, but it sounded to me like they wouldn't be here for more than 4 weeks. And they've already started. They've been here for a week already. So I'm guessing they would probably have that compiled late January, early February at the worst.
So it's possible that we can consider some of the information they may be able to offer within the scope of these meetings.
Absolutely.
At least the February ones anyway, maybe,
Yeah.
huh?
They might even have it done earlier, but I'm giving them a month to compile it after they've been here. So.
I would just like to think that, especially with the first facility study that we paid Norman a leg for, that we review that material, that we're familiar with it.
I gave that to them the other day.
And that with UNESCO, if that's available, that we look at that, because we may have information available between those two studies that the public may not be aware of, or that even those of us who sit on the board might have forgotten about.
Right.
Are they going to come back after that's done and kind of do a debriefing of everything formally, or is it just going to give us a study for us to regurgitate and try to figure out?
I would assume.
Do we not know that much yet?
I would assume, and I'm making an assumption, that they would do that. That's typically what happens in situations like that.
You want to keep you on the hook.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure that's their end game. Is they're going to have recommendations on the other side how they can make their side of it work for them.
I think it's a good time to get all this information together, because the previous study we did was made by two people who were actually administrators. This is going to be architects and engineers.
Yeah.
Now with
Completely
this one,
different focus.
completely different focus, maybe we can pick out the things that we need to do.
Yep.
And they may come up with something that we didn't even think of.
Right. And that
Who
first
knows?
study was very much editorialized
Yes.
rather than factual in many cases. So it'll be nice to see what I'm hoping will be facts and figures, a little more dispassionate than the editorialized version.
More formal.
No,
hopefully.
the other one was formal.
The other
It
one was pretty formal.
Just a different focus.
I kind of read it. It was too many.
Opinions, yeah.
Right.
Anything else anyone wants to?
No.
2 cents?
I like the short
I like the
time
short
frame,
version.
and it's tight. We've got to keep moving.
Yep.
That was one of my, when I talked to Sandy at MSB, that was one of my major things. 'Cause I've been a part of processes that drug on forever, and
Yeah.
people lose interest.
Nothing gets done.
And then when you do get the end result, nobody's really interested in doing anything about it. So I want this to end up us having a document that's going to guide our direction for the next 5 years.
I want it to be specific enough
To give us.
that we know exactly what we anticipate doing.
Give a direction.
Because if it's going to be just ethereal nonsense that we want to be better at this or happier with that, that's not, we don't need it then. I want it to be specific enough that the end result tells us exactly what direction
Which
we're moving
direction
in.
we should go and
Yeah.
what we can do to get there.
Yep.
And maybe they have some idea or plan of who we can connect with to get the
Yes.
equipment, to look at whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay, anything else?
That's it.
Okay, Hugo, we're done at 5:40, I'm sorry. Thank you.